The more I look, the hype for UCLA continues to be real on the men's side. Top 10 still? This time it's Jon Rothstein, even with what they got. But who can Mick Cronin go out and get in the portal and high school recruiting right now that's still available? Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your episodes, your podcasts, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Check it out with FanDuel. In the meantime, where we get started today, UCLA. Again, the hype is real. I keep finding all these different outlets from Jon Rothstein, CBS Sports. I've talked about ESPN's way too early top 25. USA Today's way too early top 25. The Bruins are consistently in the top 10. Now, the funny thing is they might not even be in the top 2 in their own conference, that such as the way of a super league, a super conference as the Big Ten, mixed in with a crystal ball that a Daimara might be getting to Michigan, mixed in with their NBA draft projections for Yaxel Linderberg. You see Purdue with what they've gotten in the portal and what they have returning. And UCLA with one of the biggest gets in Donovan Dent. The Bruins are going to be in the mix. They will be. And just reading Jon Rothstein's top 45, I'm seeing what he has. Houston with what they got. Pop Isaac's going to Houston. They're a top team in the country. Purdue listed as number 2. Duke, still without Cooper Flagg, is number 3. Michigan, number 4, potentially. And then you go all the way to Texas Tech, 5. Mix it with an Iowa State, 6. UCLA, number 7 in Rothstein's top 10 projections, followed by Alabama, Michigan State, and UConn. So that's 4 Big Ten teams who are potentially super teams, not super teams, but potentially top-tier teams next year. The reigning Big Ten champ, the Big Ten tournament champ. Oh, by the way, the team that was projected to win the Big Ten or be near the top of the standings in Purdue with some of their best players returning. And UCLA is among that list. They absolutely are. UCLA, though, could certainly stand to get better if a couple of things fall their way. Now, these aren't a couple of guys that I'm about to tell you about that aren't necessarily guaranteed to go to UCLA, even looking at UCLA, but they've been contacted or they have been reached out during this recruiting cycle at some point, either very early on or rather recently. Okay, 2 very different looks for UCLA. Ante Brzovic. All right, if you know the name, it's because he's one of the top potential gets in the portal coming from college of Charleston. He's been around for a while, and if you're like, man, I think he's been around for way too long, right? Isn't that Hunter Dickinson territory? Isn't this guy looking for a 10th year of eligibility? Yeah, Ante Brzovic is one of the best guys UCLA could get, 6'10", and if UCLA is able to wrap their fingers around this potential recruit, this potential get, former College of Charleston kid, then hey, 6'10", 225-pound Croatian forward who was an all-CAA first team, the NABC all-district second team, averaged 18 points per game, 54% from the floor, 8 rebounds per game, and was dominant. For most of the year, actually averaged 19 points per game and could shoot the ball 32% from 3, pretty well from the floor, and got to the free throw line quite a bit and could alter some shots. Big time potential get for the Bruins. And I was reading, I believe, from different outlets, whether it be 24/7 Sports, On3, Joe Tipton, about how UCLA's contacted him. Now the big problem, though, the potential, is that Brzovic is in the middle of a lawsuit with the NCAA. We saw this with Diego Pavia of Vanderbilt, the quarterback that was looking for the JUCO year to be restored to his name since he's about to make a lot of money just because of his win against Alabama on the gridiron in the fall of 2024. You look at Brzovic, who's had varying success at his career at different levels. You mix in the COVID, you mix in him coming to the U.S., and all of a sudden he blossomed into a star into his senior year. Career's done. But he has sued the NCAA, appealed for a 5th year, didn't get it, and now is suing the NCAA. And apparently nowadays, if you're suing the NCAA, you might actually win, and that could change the landscape of UCLA recruiting. Now, this is a guy that's going and has been contacted by many, many, many schools. High major, power conference, anybody would love to get their hands on him. But this is a guy that's out there that put up 39 points against FAU earlier this year, put up 34 points against South Florida, 32 against Charlotte. He can put up buckets in a hurry and is almost a guaranteed 15-point per game guy in a season after he scored 18 or more points. Now imagine after what UCLA's got, right? Xavier Booker, that's what John Rothstein has a projected starting center. Booker is the starting center, which would be interesting, sliding Eric Daly Jr. and Tyler Bilodeau to the 3 and 4, with Booker from Michigan State as the starting 5. You can get Brzovic. That would completely change UCLA's lineup and make them an instant top 5 in one of the short lists for contenders. Now I'm getting ahead of myself. It's an unlikely option, but a potential option considering the success against the NCAA with lawsuits concerning eligibility at the D2 level, the JUCO level. For Brzovic's consideration, it's about the D2 level. Now, another guy who I think could be an interesting look for UCLA, LZ Harrington. This could be the second consecutive offseason where UCLA gets a coveted backcourt recruit, right? 6'5" shooting guard, small forward, hailing from Southern California. This kid, LZ Harrington, from St. John Bosco. He's been committed to 2 different places. In December, he was initially committed to Harvard, was committed to Harvard in June of 2024, decommitted, I believe, on New Year's Eve. And then next thing you know, right into the new year, committed to USC. And now, just a couple of days ago in April, has actually decommitted. And where does UCLA need a surplus of? Guys who can play that small forward, that wing 3 role for Mick Cronin. Now, Harrington would be a younger guy. UCLA, if they want to move Daly Jr. to the 3, if they want to ride with a veteran like Jamar Brown, that could give UCLA returning talent in Daly Jr. That could give UCLA a veteran option in Brown coming from UMKC. And if you can get a guy like Harrington, why not add some youth to a spot who could blossom as a top 20 recruit in the state of California? 4-star and a 90 percentile rating if you're looking at 24/7 sports recruiting model at a position they need. Back-to-back years, UCLA could take a USC decommit and turn that into somebody they could play in their lineup or use on their roster. It's not like UCLA's already knocking down the door of 15 scholarships or 15 positions taken up by top-notch guys. Now, of course, the caveat to that would be UCLA, they're not going to guarantee playing time to any freshmen. Cronin had to survive encouraging Trent Perry to return after a limited playing time. So going after a high schooler who wouldn't be guaranteed playing time, you might see like a Harrington. I don't know if I want to go there. But the backcourt has lightened up the load. You see, okay, Max gone, Andrews is gone, Stefanovic and Kobe Johnson have exhausted all their eligibility. Could be a decent spot for a St. John Bosco kid if he wants to come to UCLA, stay local. If you're committing to Harvard, you've got the grades, you've got the skills. If Eric Musselman was ready to recruit him, bring him to UCLA. He's got the skills, he's got the grades. That would, I think, be an interesting fit. I'm not sure if the playing time or if the NIL situation would match. I'm not sure what he's asking coming out of high school. Cronin would save that. He's going to save that stash for somebody else in the portal if he wants to go get someone else right away. This is somebody in their own backyard the Bruins can look at, where UCLA is already apparently looking like a top 10 team. Multiple different offseason, way too early offseason reports, we might add, in the top 25 have all had UCLA in the top 10. So maybe we have to reshift. I have to refocus. I have to shift my narrative of like, wait a minute. UCLA is actually a team without Mata, without all these returners that can still do damage next season. It's about the development of Booker. It's about the impact of Jamerson II. How can Jamar Brown take the next step up, right, from the NJCAA to the Summit League, now to the Big Ten? Can he be at a big impact? And who is that next ad I would think UCLA is still waiting for? I'm looking for maybe one more ad for Mick Cronin. Might not happen, but might be one more, whether it's Brzovic in a shocker if he wins the lawsuit against the NCAA, who would change any team in an instant, or is it a local kid, a guy in UCLA's own backyard, that would be their only commit in the class of 25 high school recruiting? UCLA has 0 commits from the high school realm in 2025. Just something and some food for thought. Next, a shocking exodus. 6 players for UCLA hit the transfer portal. Who? Gianna Barker? London Jones? That's crazy. What's happening to the Final Four team? We'll talk about it next on Locked On UCLA. The NBA playoffs are almost here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Listen to this. Right now, when you join FanDuel, place your first $5 bet. Get in there. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Why not go after that? FanDuel makes betting super easy, whether it's picking your favorite team, diving into the player props, three-pointers, to steals, to assists. FanDuel has so many ways to bet on your favorite player props. And hey, you can even combine your live player props into same-game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. Okay, cruising on into this next segment of Locked On UCLA. The UCLA women, coming off a very successful season, reached number 1, had the number 1 overall seed, had the longest unbeaten stretch to start the season in either men's or women's college basketball. Cori found herself as a Big Ten tournament championship winner, the all-time winningest head coach in program history, and pretty much got UCLA to their first ever Final Four in NCAA history during the time when the NCAA sponsored women's college basketball. So a lot of new great heights. A junior class that is super dominant with talent, all mostly coming back, right? And then they continue to add to the portal, add via the portal, whether it's been Lauren Betts, Gianna Barker, keep her class of 2022 together, and UCLA looks solid. Preseason number 1 immediately in 25 to 26. And then the portal opens. Or for UCLA, they ended their season, and now they're looking what's next. All 4 freshmen that were of significance for UCLA, from Xenia Soka to Kendall Dudley, Avery Kane, you mix in Alina Arnasalo, and you're like, wait a minute, what happened to all those players? All in the portal. Kendall Dudley's already committed to Michigan. Okay. And then something I've teased since the opening of the week, Gianna Barker has been rumored to be in the transfer portal or heading out or some sort of not returning to UCLA. I read Charlie Cream's write-up from ESPN about how UCLA is expected to be the number 1 team in the country next season with what they have coming in the high school recruiting and who they have returning for next season, including from injury in Charlize Ledger-Walker. Now, Gianna Barker didn't know if that meant going pro. I saw that Cream, I read that from him first and got me thinking. Bro Report actually said, hey, she's going in the portal. Then you have Talia Goodman from On3 saying Barker's officially in the portal. All right. And this comes after multiple articles. You go back to the LA Times, Ben Bolch writing up about Gianna Barker and her determination to winning, seeking out UCLA. And that wasn't even a player UCLA sought after in the portal. This offseason, UCLA was not going after Gianna Barker in the portal. She wanted to go for a winning opportunity and a winning place and found UCLA. And from reading what Ben Bolch wrote back in January, almost 3 months ago, about Barker's determination, tenacity, wanting to go somewhere unexpected where maybe she was one of the best players for Texas A&M, one of the leading rebounders and SEC preseason all-first teamer after her first couple of years, one of the most coveted recruits in the class of 22, and Cori Close and the Bruins got another one. But it's interesting how Cori Close in that article written by Ben Bolch was almost quoted as saying, it wasn't my best recruiting job. She was saying, hey, if you want to change your mind, you can do so. Came to practice, ran practice with UCLA, and then that's eventually when she committed after she fit in with this UCLA class. Now, after how it's played out, not the most starting opportunities, was a bit at times a turnover machine, but a great rebounder outside of Lauren Betts, could hit some clutch, tough jumpers with defense in her face, and not every UCLA player on this team that made it to the Final Four could hit a big-time shot with defense in their face. That is just not the skill set of a lot of these players. But it was expected. I thought she might come back until I read that from Charlie Cream from ESPN. Bro Report said, oh, in the portal she goes, and Goodman from On3 confirmed it. Now, the other shocking news was when it was reported from Bro that, hey, London Jones is going to the portal. Goodman of On3, Talia Goodman, has not confirmed whether she's in the portal or she's in the process of it, but said, hey, she's in the process, but it's not officially yet in the portal. So at this recording, only Barker is officially in the portal. Jones could be in the works of it. That's stunning. Whatever your thoughts are on London Jones and her effectiveness against UConn, against USC, guarding Juju, her shot selection this year, her role this year, it's not often that you run off or a player like London Jones just goes away during her senior year. Because on the women's side, these players, as much as the portal is a big factor now, you don't just turn it from a junior into a senior and leave the number one team in the country. That just doesn't seem like that all sits right with me. It's not like, oh, you're going to go get paid and go play somewhere else, or like she didn't play a lot. These are London Jones numbers. I'm going to bring them up for you right now. London Jones, in this last season, after her sophomore year, started every game but 6. And if you remember, during the South Carolina game, was fantastic. Hit 5 threes, wore the mask, and was absolutely fantastic. But did take a step back after a single season record for made threes for UCLA, where she made 96. 36% had a big impact, was increasing her role and effectiveness from her freshman to her sophomore year. This last season, with less minutes, same amount of games played, one less start, 25 minutes per game, made 24 less threes. Took 57 less, but made 24 less. At a worse percentage, 35%, not bad, but less and a decline from her 36% as a sophomore. Rebounding numbers went down. Assist numbers, if you argue with more time, could have gone up. She was close to having more passes. Was relied upon more as a number one, as a point guard, a backup point guard if Kiki wasn't on the floor, if they wanted to run something else at times. And is a little bit undersized if UCLA is trying to guard some of these bigger guards, the Paige Beckers, the Juju Watkins of the world. Getting her free and open wasn't as easy this season, it seemed like, where she can do whatever she wanted to get threes, and when she would, UCLA would not lose. But it's still shocking that as someone as a potential leader who could shoot the three, while most of this UCLA team outside of Gardner, not the most lethal from downtown. That's not Kiki Rice's game. That's not Gabriella Hawkins' game. You have Tamia Gardner, of course. Betts isn't going to shoot a three. Charlize Ledger-Walker isn't coming off. In her most recent season at Washington State, she wasn't lights out from three, a scorer, 3 levels, but doesn't represent a consistent shot like 35% for London Jones is. So her potential exodus makes me wonder about the continuity, the leadership, and what that means. And maybe this is one of those rare cases, less so for Janiah Barker and maybe more for London Jones, that is this somebody who could withdraw from the portal, or is this somebody who is told to go, or is she looking for a different opportunity elsewhere? Those are things I'm privy to with knowledge. I don't have that information, but it's a unique situation. Barker, considering I've read it from earlier in the week, like, okay, she's not expected back. Dugalich could come back. She's got the extra year of eligibility. It would be understandable if she goes elsewhere, plays elsewhere. Who knows where Dugalich could play, whether it's pro, going international, new school, that's a different situation. But Jones, part of that class, and if she's in the portal, that's a little shocking. What could be coming in? Well, Talia Goodman talked about there's 4 teams going after this one player, and UCLA is one of those 4 teams. We'll talk about her next and why that might be leading to a London Jones portal exit next on Locked On UCLA. All right, wrapping things up here on Locked On UCLA. The Bruins haven't exactly gotten a lot to bring in the portal. South Carolina's got their big swing. UConn has some of their best players returning outside of Paige Beckers. Where are the Bruins going to go? Even TCU has already secured the commitment of Olivia Miles in the portal. Where is UCLA going to go? That player, Gianna Kneepkens. Why does that name sound familiar? Maybe it does. Maybe it does. Gianna Kneepkens in the portal from the University of Utah was a fantastic Ute. Kneepkens, a Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, first team All Pac-12 and Pac-12 for All Freshman honors, of course, was the second Utah player ever to earn Pac-12 Freshman of the Year honor. and that was in 21 to 22. Sophomore year was a WBCA honorable mention All-American and a Pac-12 first-teamer. Okay, second time in her career, top 5 candidate for the Cheryl Miller Award. Her freshman year averaged 11 points, 4 rebounds, with 25 starts as a true freshman. Her sophomore year, Kneepkens, 28 minutes, 15 points per game, started in every game for Utah. You're like, what about that last year for UCLA in the Pac-12 with Utah? Got hurt, played in 8 games, was a preseason all-conference selection, got to 1,000 career points during the early portion of her supposed junior year, her previous junior year before she got hurt, and then now has another year of opportunity after this last year because of her being injured in her junior season. Now, for Kneepkens, this is what makes her so special. One, in the most recent year, started every game for Utah, played 30 minutes per game, the most she's played since her sophomore season. Shoots it 50% from the floor, 44% from 3, including a 43% career average, all with a lot more three-point makes, right? This year she hit 94. In her sophomore year, hit 71 and hit 56 threes as a freshman. And oh, by the way, before she got hurt, was 27 of 50 from downtown, a blistering 54% knock or 54% number from 3. Kneepkens also decent rebounder, 5 rebounds per game in her career, averaged 19 points per game for Utah in her most recent season. And oh, by the way, 94 assists, so good assist totals, 3 assists per game, does have 180 turnovers in her career, plays some defense, can pass the basketball, rebound it, and shoot it and score at an elite clip. Here are the things. She is in a recruiting war with 4 different teams. All right, you've got UCLA battling South Carolina, battling Texas. I believe she's also looking at Oklahoma, according to Talia Goodman. 4 visits she's taking. A veteran in college basketball. And for Kneepkens, stands as the former Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, 6-foot senior guard. So if this is the replacement, say Jones does not return, and the report that she is heading to the portal is true or comes to fruition by the time you watch this podcast, Kneepkens is going to go visit UCLA. And now you probably heard the story by now of who might be visiting UCLA and how Lauren Betts watched Cori Close jump in the pool. And then Lauren Betts and Cori Close both jumped in the pool when players eventually come to commit, and how those have become stories of legend during broadcasts during the postseason. For UCLA, if Jones leaves, you're getting a better scoring guard, a more efficient shooter, probably a better passer, and a bigger guard. 6 foot to 5'4". That's a huge difference right there. Even if you're trying to guard, say, AZ Fudd, who is 5'9", or, like just a bigger guard, there's a small impact, give up 6 inches there. Then you bring in Kneepkens, who's 6 foot. UCLA can go toe-to-toe with some of the bigger guards of the country. I'm not sure if she would, say, draw an assignment on Juju Watkins, but it's very different when you have London Jones out there guarding her for a couple of possessions versus maybe Kneepkens, if that's the opportunity, if Cori Close can bring her to UCLA. This is arguably the most important get for UCLA in this portal season, because they'll have Charlize Ledger-Walker, depth and talent. Coming off injury, UCLA will probably want to begin her season slow after her year off of basketball. Now, if Jones is gone, you need another shooter. Kneepkens represents that in the portal right now. And if UCLA is losing all this freshman talent, then at the moment, you got to go all in on some senior talent who will be ready to play and showcase it with the brightest lights against some of the best teams, especially when the Pac-12 was elite, when Stanford and UCLA were all in there with Utah before the Utah coach left. This represents, I think, a step up for UCLA if they can pull in Kneepkens. But if she goes to South Carolina, imagine that. Say she goes to South Carolina. They already have one of the best scorers in the country in Latson, who just committed to South Carolina. You would have another scoring shooter. South Carolina wasn't the best shooting team. This would represent a 3-point shooter. UCLA would be losing a 3-point shooter, a senior leader, losing some talent if wherever Barker goes. And the best team in the country would no longer, in my mind, be UCLA, you might say it's South Carolina, the reigning champs to reigning runners-up now after they lost to UConn. They would be well on their way to another Final Four run, and they would be the preseason number one. So not only do you need Kneepkens to get better and upgrade to win a championship, it's just keeping her away from the Texases of the world, the Oklahomas of the world, keeping her out of the SEC, and then UCLA would be ready to dominate the Big Ten, dominate the West Coast, and be a clear-cut number one as they should be. It is shocking with what's leaving, but if Kneepkens takes her visit to UCLA, loves it, more power to her, the Bruins should lock it in. Huge commit for UCLA to get on the women's side to change the course of them winning a championship or us still being in shock at who's leaving. From now Kane to Dudley, who's committed to Michigan, Soka, Artisalo. You mix in Barker and London Jones, which is, in my mind, the most shocking of them all. But if you can get Kneepkens, it softens the blow on almost every single one of them. Doesn't set you up for the future, but it sets you up for immediate success for UCLA, and again would solidify their preseason number one status and continue that through the whole postseason, I think, next year, in my mind. Another scorer, bigger, better, more efficient than Jones is, but I would love London Jones to return. I'm not trying to make this a knock on her, but Kneepkens, I think, would represent a new scoring weapon in a different way for UCLA. Hopefully it comes to fruition. If not, well, we'll talk about it. So you're going to want to like, comment, subscribe, download these Locked On UCLA episodes. Tell me your thoughts, and I'll be on top of it when UCLA news breaks. We'll talk about it here on this Locked On UCLA podcast. So hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.